After 10 years of relentless effort, my husband and I finally moved into our newly purchased villa. It was a private, spacious, and luxurious home. On our very first night, in the bathroom mirror, I saw a stranger. My heart skipped a beat. Thinking I was imagining things, I instinctively rubbed my eyes. The woman's face in the mirror remained shrouded in a hazy, motionless mist. Her eye sockets were empty, yet she seemed to be staring directly at me. My scalp tingled, my heart pounded, and my scream tore through the villa's silence. "Ethan, there's someone in the mirror." Ethan was tidying up his study. "Hearing me," he replied with an exasperated sigh. "Of course, it's you in the mirror. What else would it be?" Before he could say more, I ran to the study and clutched his arms. "It's not me. It's a strange woman I don't know." In my extreme panic, my voice involuntarily turned shrill and piercing. Ethan winced, annoyed by the noise, pulled his arm away, and casually put an arm around my shoulder. "What's wrong? Are you seeing things?" He turned his back, meticulously arranging books on the shelf, and casually concluded, "You must be mistaken." I stared at his back, trembling uncontrollably. No, it couldn't be a mistake. My hair had been long for over 10 years, but the woman in the mirror's hair clearly only reached her shoulders. I'm tall, but she was petite and delicate, and the bathroom had the newest LED lights, bright as day. How could I be mistaken? Ethan's dismissive attitude suddenly ignited a spark of defiance in me. I grabbed his arm tightly, dragging him toward the bathroom. "If you don't believe me, go see for yourself." The bathroom door was wide open. Ethan silently took a step forward, looking into the mirror. His expression was complex, as if suspecting I was playing some baseless trick. "Isn't this just a normal mirror?" he said. I cautiously peered in, but what I saw, my heart, which had barely calmed, now nearly stopped. The bathroom was brightly lit. In the gleaming mirror, a faceless woman in a long flowing dress stood right next to Ethan. The Ethan in the mirror was looking down, but the woman's eyes were fixed outward, staring intently at him. My pupils contracted. My finger trembled as I pointed at the mirror, a piercing scream tearing through my throat. "She's right there. She's looking at you." Ethan immediately spun around. "Who's there?" His face was full of doubt. He leaned over the sink, getting closer to the mirror. From my angle, Ethan and the woman in the mirror were almost face to face, their eyes meeting. Yet he was completely oblivious. "Ethan." In that moment, I forgot my fear. I rushed into the bathroom, grabbing Ethan's shirt, trying to drag him out. But he unexpectedly flung my hand away. "What on earth are you doing?" Ethan's face darkened, his eyes glaring at me as if I were insane. I had no strength left to reply. My gaze swept past him, locking onto the mirror, suddenly freezing. Because the strange woman in the mirror was smiling at me. Her face was slowly becoming clearer. The first thing to emerge was a pair of scarlet lips, the corners curled into an utterly grotesque arc. A gasp choked in my throat. My pupils trembled violently. "Inhabiting, nearing forth, and you're not yet sharp-shotted." Once again, I raised my hand, clutching Ethan's sleeve. My piercing scream transformed into a sob. Ethan, she's smiling. Ethan's patience with me finally seemed to snap. He flung my hand away with such force that I stumbled backward, hitting the wash basin, the mirror right above my head. I sobbed, squeezing my eyes shut, not daring to look up. "You're really sick, seriously sick." With a malicious curse, the bathroom door slammed shut. Ethan abandoned me, striding away. Suddenly, a soft breeze brushed past my ear, accompanied by a faint, pitying sigh. The sound came from the woman in the mirror. Overwhelmed by successive shocks, my already fragile heart was soon overloaded. The moment I realized the source of the sound, I screamed, nearly fainting on the spot. With a bang, the bathroom door was suddenly kicked open by Ethan. He stood grim-faced in the doorway, looking even angrier than before. "Are you doing this on purpose? You hate that I bought this house without consulting you, don't you? Is that why you're deliberately pulling these wicked stunts to annoy me? Bought a house without consulting me?" In my utter horror, my legs trembled uncontrollably. Tears streamed down my face, soaking it completely. But I was still struck by Ethan's resentful words. Ethan and I had been married for 10 years. For those 10 years, though our lives were somewhat difficult, our love had always been passionate. We decided everything in our home together. Ethan even asked for my opinion when changing his phone. How could he decide on something as major as buying a house on his own? I stared at Ethan's cold, almost unfamiliar face, my eyes slowly widening. Because I realized I truly had no memory of Ethan discussing buying a house with me. When exactly was this house bought? How much did it cost? I had no idea. Stunned, I murmured, "Ethan, when did you buy this house?" Ethan's face darkened further. He slammed his fist against the bathroom door, as if at his wit's end with fury. "Kaya, you are doing this on purpose." The bathroom door slammed against the wall with the force of his punch. The violent impact suddenly awakened memories that seemed long lost. Back then, Ethan and I stood beside a villa. He had his arm around me, his face glowing with exhilaration. "Don't worry about the price. This place will hold the happiness of the rest of our life. We should show those who look down on us that we can live better lives, so they can see how capable your husband is now." When Ethan said these words, I only felt a pang of sorrow. He and I had toiled in this city for 10 years. Salaries rose slowly, while housing prices skyrocketed. Our plans to buy a house were postponed year after year. Ethan, who was initially full of ambition, eventually couldn't even mention buying a house anymore. But his obsession with owning a home was deeper than mine. So I clasped his hand tightly. "Then, let's buy it. Even if we have to live on gruel, even if we struggle for another 10 years, even if we have to pay off debt for the rest of our lives, I'll support you." That night, back in our rental room, Ethan was unusually excited. He clung to me ceaselessly, passionately, as if we had returned to 10 years ago. After our intimacy, he held me tightly from behind. I was already exhausted. In a daze, a cold kiss was pressed to the nape of my neck. Immediately after, I heard Ethan murmur, "Wife, I'm sorry." Sorry for what? I had no strength to ask at the time. After I woke up, I simply Forgot. Now I didn't need to ask. I stared at Ethan's bloodshot, furious eyes, trembling uncontrollably, even my voice shaking. Ethan, who is Kira's husband? My question stunned Ethan. Wife, what's wrong? Aren't you Kira? In his eyes, confusion and doubt intertwined. Not at all like he was faking it. Who is Kira? I am Kira. And I panicked but dared not look into the mirror. I just blankly raised my hand to touch my face. As my fingers met my skin, the contours of a face slowly became clearer in my palm. The house clearly had heating. Yet my eyes were wide open, and my entire body was freezing cold, as if I were in an ice cell. My legs gradually gave way. I stumbled, so frantic I could barely stand. Ethan was even more terrified than I was. He rushed to my side, throwing his arms around me, his voice and expression full of frantic worry. Wife, what on earth is wrong with you? Don't scare me. My body suddenly found support. I went limp in Ethan's arms. I looked up at the ceiling, losing all capacity to think. Ethan, I think I'm sick. I clearly remember being Daisy. Suddenly, a searing pain shot through my brain, cutting off my words. I felt a severe jolt, my whole body shaking violently. My consciousness rapidly receded from my mind, and Ethan's expression abruptly turned frantic. Kira, wake up. What's wrong with you? I cried out, struggling to keep my eyes open and stay conscious. But I had no strength left to resist. The next second, my eyes rolled back, and I was swallowed by darkness. Not long after, I woke up on the cold bathroom floor. My neck ached as if my head was about to detach from my body. I massaged my sore muscles and sat up, just as I heard a crash. Ethan, his face furious, kicked the door open. He stood blocking the entrance, his expression so dark it seemed to drip with malevolence. Kira, are you doing this on purpose? You hate that I bought this house without consulting you, don't you? Is that why you're deliberately pulling these wicked stunts to annoy me? I leaned on the wash basin, slowly stood up, and instinctively looked into the mirror. My reflection was chalk white, devoid of any color. Ethan, seeing I ignored him, grew even angrier. Say something, stop pretending to be deaf and mute. I realized what had happened. I sighed, my legs so weak I could barely stand. I splashed water on my face a couple of times before walking towards the bathroom door. As I approached Ethan, I immediately wrapped my arms around his waist, trying to suppress the discomfort in my heart, and pouted playfully. Ethan, you've misunderstood me. I told you long ago that buying the house was entirely your decision. Besides, this house has a great location and beautiful decor. How could I ever blame my beloved husband? Ethan looked pleased, cast a reproachful glance at me, then embraced me tightly. That's better. That's better. Stop dawdling. Let's go back to the bedroom. Our wedding night is worth 1,000 pieces of gold. His tone held a hint of playful teasing, and his hand playfully pinched my waist. As soon as we entered the bedroom, he chuckled and swept me into his arms. The large bed in the honeymoon suite was incredibly soft. Ethan tossed me onto it and immediately lunged after me. I wrapped my arms tightly around his neck, pressing him close. In a mesmerizing, seductive voice, I whispered in his ear, My darling husband tonight. Do we want to try something new? Ethan was a man who couldn't resist provocation. This was something I'd known since I first pursued him. All the new tricks I'd specially learned to win him over on our first night in the new house. I used every single one on him. After 3 hours of fervent passion, Ethan lay utterly exhausted on the bed, snoring deeply. I stared at his sleeping profile for a long time before putting on my nightgown and sitting up. I returned to the bathroom, turned on all the lights, and locked the door tightly. I looked into the mirror, silently confronting the woman within. She had long soft hair, a slender, elegant figure. She stared back at me, her pale face streaked with tears, her red-rimmed eyes looking as if they were about to bleed. I curled one corner of my lip into a smile at her. I originally intended to give this chance to you, but you truly are utterly useless. The woman in the mirror was stunned for a moment, then suddenly went white. Her face contorted viciously as she furiously slammed both hands against the mirror's surface as if wanting to shatter the barrier, and burst out. Alas, her actions were futile against the world outside the mirror. I calmly finished washing my face, silently watching her scream and collapse in despair, then fix me with eyes full of venomous hatred, as if wanting to tear me to shreds. She continued her frenzy, her hands relentlessly pounding the mirror. I focused my gaze intently on her actions. The moment her hand lifted from the mirror's surface once more, I suddenly acted. I reached through the cold glass and firmly grasped her wrist, which was frighteningly thin from prolonged malnutrition. In the mirror, the long-haired woman was utterly terrified. She stared at the hand gripping hers, her eyes filled with panic and helplessness. I deliberately tried to pull her out of the mirror a little, but her hand was stuck fast, unable to budge even an inch. "Do you understand now?" I asked, my face cold, my head tilted. "Unless I actively switch places with you, you'll never escape." The woman in the mirror finally calmed down, her lips trembling with words. By reading her lips, I could barely make out her questions. "Who are you? What have you done?" "Now, why are you holding me here?" My mood complex. I stared at her for a long time. I withdrew my hand, raising an eyebrow at her. "You'll know soon enough." "Hannah, the only thing I'm too lazy to do is let you figure it out for yourself." The next morning, I woke up in Ethan's arms. My head throbbed. I frowned, sat up, and gently tapped my head with my fist. But I couldn't remember what had happened when I went to sleep last night. Ethan stirred awake from my movements. Before even opening his eyes, his long arm swept around and pulled me back down onto the bed. His voice was husky. "My love, you must be exhausted from last night. Get a little more sleep." Before he could finish, he drifted back off. I was stunned for a long time, finding it somewhat amusing. Exhausted? Yesterday, I merely tidied the bedroom and bathroom. What's so tiring about that? For 10 years, has there been a single day I've worked less than yesterday? On the contrary, he hasn't touched housework in years, and yesterday he insisted on tidying the study himself. I wonder if he's finished yet. "You keep sleeping. I'll get up and tidy up." I gently kissed Ethan's cheek, then carefully, quietly slipped the blanket back and got out of bed. All the toiletries were in the master bathroom. Yet, by some strange impulse, I walked straight out of the bedroom door to the guest bathroom at the end of the hall. I simply rinsed my mouth and quickly splashed water on my face. Not once did my eyes glance at the mirror. The study was right next to the guest bathroom. I tried the doorknob and found the door locked. Ethan's voice suddenly rang out behind me. "What are you doing in the study?" He quickly walked over, pulling me away from the door with one hand, his brows tightly furrowed. I stumbled from his pull, dumbfounded. Back when we rented, his study was always open to me. After all, I often dusted, cleaned, and organized his books. Tasks Ethan hated most. Why now? I stared at him blankly, instinctively trying to explain myself. "I was going to help you tidy up a bit." Before I could finish, Ethan coldly cut me off. "I'll tidy my study myself. I don't need your help." Perhaps the surprise in my eyes was too obvious. Ethan tilted his head, cleared his throat softly, his tone becoming gentler as he hugged me. "What I mean is, you're my wife, not a maid. How can I let you do these things? You just need to dress beautifully. Go get your nails done with your friends, shop, have afternoon tea every day, and just enjoy yourself." I stared at his face, my brows furrowed into a knot. It was clearly Mandarin, but I almost didn't understand it. How many years had I been with him? When had I ever enjoyed such luxurious days? But Ethan was offering me a way out. So I feigned annoyance, cast him a sidelong glance, and then playfully bumped his chest with my shoulder. "You really are so fickle, always teasing me." This was an act I often performed to diffuse small tensions between us. Each time, Ethan would only hold me tighter, rubbing his stubbly chin against my face until I begged him to stop. After such a playful spat, we would reconcile as before. But now, Ethan suddenly pulled his hand back and pushed me away. He glared at me, his pupils trembling violently, his face hideously distorted, as if he'd seen a ghost. When the main door slammed shut, I was still stunned. From avoiding me to walking out the door, it took Ethan less than 10 minutes. "Don't you have something to do today? Finish up and leave early?" "I'm off to work." His tone was vague, always avoiding my gaze, refusing to look me directly in the eye. His steps out the door were so fast I couldn't catch up. I stood there, staring at the closed door for a long time, racking my brain, but unable to remember what I had to do today. "How utterly strange," I mumbled. I quickly cleaned the living room and kitchen, then returned to the study door. Although Ethan said he didn't need my help, the study still needed tidying. He'd never done housework, him tidying it himself. I muttered to myself as I found the spare key for the study door in a drawer beside the living room cabinet. I inserted the key, turned it twice to the left, and pressed the doorknob. The study door easily opened. With a mop in my left hand and a cleaning cloth in my right, I stepped inside, completely unprepared. But after only 2 steps, I froze. On the bookshelf opposite the door, a picture frame was neatly placed. I blinked hard until my eyes started to sting. Inside the frame was a joint photo. Under a lush, sprawling tree, the man and woman in the picture stood cheek to cheek, smiling radiantly at the camera. They wore light, airy clothes, looking as though the photo had been taken a few months ago. The man was Ethan. The woman was me. I stared at that fresh-faced, youthful and beautiful smiling face, a chill suddenly spreading through my heart. Her name was Stella. She was a colleague I used to be close with. Ever since Ethan got promoted and started earning more, he stopped letting me work, and she unilaterally cut off contact with me. I was sad about it for a long time. Ethan even advised me back then, life is long, people come and go. It's normal. Iyon, hanta, ningat, peasant si, kanta tada. But only today did I realize. It turned out she came from my side to Ethan's side. I clenched my fists, my nails digging deep into my palms. When did those two start their secret affair? How could they? A surge of anger flared, hot blood rushing to my brain. I frowned, unable to make sense of it. Stella and I had been colleagues for 3 years. Her clothes and lifestyle were luxurious, clearly that of a wealthy young lady. She could have any kind of man she wanted. So how could she possibly be interested in Ethan? Even if Ethan was handsome, he was too old. Ultimately, a middle-aged married man with no money. What could Stella possibly like about him? Maybe it was just a fling. Ethan had never suggested divorcing me. Perhaps they had already broken up. The sky-high blaze of anger extinguished in an instant. Oh. I placed the picture frame back in its original spot, lost in thought for a long time before remembering why I was here. On the study floor, a pile of cardboard boxes was still stacked haphazardly. I walked over, bewildered, and unconsciously started tidying up. Books, personal documents, and various trinkets stored in small boxes were all sorted and neatly arranged. Oh, honestly, he said he didn't need my help. What could he possibly do by himself? The murmuring came with a choke sound. I didn't even bother to wipe the tears streaming down my face. Just quietly, mechanically emptied each box, then tore off the tape, flattened them, and stacked them together. The last box was tightly sealed with transparent tape. It took me ages to tear it open. The lid sprang open, revealing a pile of clothes covered in reddish-brown stains. A suffocating, putrid stench assailed my nostrils. Trembling, I overturned the box, spilling everything inside. By inertia, the rolled-up clothes unfurled before my eyes. My legs went weak, and I collapsed to the floor with a thud. Immediately after, I sprang up and lunged towards the bookshelf. I shakily picked up the picture frame, comparing it to the pile of clothes on the floor. It was the exact outfit Ethan and Stella wore in the photo. These are Ethan's and Stella's clothes. Why are they sealed in a box? And why is this blood? Yeah. Could it be? I looked up in shock from the study door, my gaze sweeping past the hallway railing, stopping at the long crystal chandelier hanging above the spiral staircase. Although we moved in a hurry, this house was truly enormous. 2 above-ground floors, plus a private garage, covering an area of 500 m2 door. Luxurious furnishings complete with high-end appliances, almost ready to move into, with just a suitcase. A house like this, no matter how you looked at it, was worth a fortune. Where on earth did Ethan get so much money? I stared down blankly at the 2 blood-stained outfits on the floor. Oh, could this money belong to Stella? With With a clatter, the picture frame slipped from my hand and fell to the floor. I frantically covered my mouth, a terrifying suspicion forming in my mind, making me tremble. Ethan killed Stella. He killed someone for money, to buy this house. This is a lawful society. How could he dare to do such a thing? I hesitated for only a moment, then knelt beside the two outfits, quickly gathered them, and stuffed them back into the box. No, I can't leave them here. They'll be discovered. Ethan will be arrested by the police. I absolutely cannot let that happen. Clutching the cardboard box, I frantically chose a path, running straight back to the bedroom. The master bathroom door was wide open. Almost instinctively, I rushed into the bathroom and locked the door. I threw the box onto the floor, my eyes drawn to the storage cabinet next to the toilet. Ethan's cigarettes and lighter were there. My limbs weak, I stumbled towards it. Suddenly, a soft, feminine chuckle echoed in the confined space. Want to destroy the evidence? How truly touching. Do you even remember who you are? My already weak legs stiffened at the sound. A choke caught in my throat as I slowly turned around, meeting the gaze of the woman in the mirror. The bathroom lights were off. In the oppressive darkness, the short-haired woman's face in the mirror was strangely clear. The corner of her mouth curved into a mocking smile, as if ridiculing me. Successive shocks immediately sent my already tense emotions spiraling out of control. I quickly stepped up to the mirror, gripping the edge of the wash basin with both hands, screaming at the woman in the mirror. Who are you, really? What do you want? Hiding in my mirror? If you're so capable, come out here. My reflection in the mirror was my own face. I could only imagine how ferocious my current expression must be. My temples throbbed. My saliva splattered onto the mirror. The woman in the mirror silently watched me. After a long moment, she raised a finger. Shh! I was about to yell at her to stop playing mind games when I heard the front door downstairs click open. Ethan's overly dramatic and joyful voice immediately rang out. Come on in, my love. Welcome home. My eyes widened. Ethan was bringing someone else home. My body moved faster than my brain. I instinctively turned towards the door, stopping only when the woman in the mirror suddenly yelled, blocking me. Didn't want to know who I am and what I want. She crossed her arms, her lips still holding that mocking smile, and gestured with her chin towards downstairs. You'll find out soon enough. Downstairs. Following Ethan's voice, a young woman's voice chimed in. Her voice was clear, echoing throughout the villa. Well, this house isn't bad, is it? My eyes widened in stunned disbelief once more. It was Stella. Well, the person Ethan brought home was Stella. She was still alive. She wasn't dead. Then I blankly looked down at the cardboard box at my feet, the two blood-stained outfits wrapped tightly together, like an inseparable whole. Could it be that they had killed someone else together? Yeah. Ethan's voice rang out again, pulling my thoughts back. Not just not bad, it's absolutely amazing. My darling always knows how to pick the best. His exaggerated tone, the sweet words I had never heard from him before. And my blood began to run cold. I covered my mouth, trembling, as I slid down the cold wall. The short-haired woman in the mirror watched me with pitying eyes, saying nothing. The sounds downstairs continued. Stella scoffed. Shameless man, don't play games with me. Tell me, when are you giving me the money? I need it urgently. Ethan began to coax her in a soft voice. Oh, my precious darling. Don't be so impatient. The 8 million you and Kira gave me was all used to buy this house. How can I possibly ask her for more money? Give me a little more time to figure something out, okay? Stella's voice suddenly turned shrill. Figure out what? Can my father's illness wait? It was so hard to find a matching kidney. If we miss this chance, how long will we have to wait? I'm telling you, Ethan, if anything happens to my father, I'll expose everything you've done, including where Daisy is buried. You yourself. Bye. A smack. A sharp echoing sound. Ethan, do you have a death wish? You dare hit me? Stella shrieked hysterically. Ethan's angry voice erupted immediately after. I told you! Don't mention her name, and don't mention what that matter again. Things ain't fading. Daisy. Wasn't Daisy killed by your own hands? You even chopped off her head. Do you think you can get away with it? Ethan's voice was cold and cruel. Stella screamed wildly, and chaotic crashing sounds erupted downstairs. They seemed to be fighting. I felt as if my soul had been ripped out, losing both my heartbeat and my breath. The bathroom floor was as cold as the wall. I crawled on the ground, my tears almost frozen. Daisy, isn't that my name? Am I not Daisy? It turned out Lee was the one they killed. Those two blood-stained outfits were stained with me blood. The photo of them under the big tree. It was taken to commemorate the day they killed me. Agonizing pain, as if my head was about to detach from my neck, surged through me. I clutched my throat, gasping for breath. In the mirror, a sigh echoed. I am the Kira they are talking about. The short-haired woman said seriously, Hey, son, only married me after you were murdered. I collapsed onto the floor in despair, having long lost the ability to think. The argument between the two downstairs had stopped. Instead, Stella's broken sobs could be heard, mixed with anger and indignation. If it weren't for you, would I still have no support system until now? Ethan, I've wasted 10 years of my life for you. You have no support system? Ethan's questioning voice was several tones higher than hers. Stella, lay your hand on your heart and tell me clearly. How have I mistreated you these past 10 years? Most of the money I earned, I gave to you. Daisy followed me for 10 years, and I never even bought her a decent piece of jewelry. But you? Your lavish lifestyle, luxury cars, and expensive brands. Which of those didn't I buy for you? What more do you want? Stella shrieked back. You yourself clearly promised that you'd marry me once Daisy was dead. You broke your word. You idiot. You couldn't get the insurance money. Without money to buy a house, what was I supposed to marry you with? Making me marry Kira was your idea too. Why are you arguing with me now? Ethan gnashed his teeth and yelled those two sentences, then softened his voice. All right. Don't cry anymore. I promise you I'll deal with Kira quickly. Then I'll bring you and your father here to live. This house will be ours. Stella stopped crying, her voice still indignant. I can't wait any longer. When are you finally going to make your move? Ethan said something, but I couldn't hear it clearly anymore. My entire body trembled violently. I felt crushed from the inside out. It turned out I had been deceived for 10 long years. The impoverished life, the meager income, the inability to buy a house, 10 years of devoted affection, all a lie. Yeah. Only I was foolish enough to be conned for a full 10 years. 1 year, when Ethan got promoted, I wanted to give him a proper gift, but I truly didn't have enough money. After much thought, I withdrew the insurance money I had been diligently paying for 10 years and bought him an expensive watch. In the end, he killed me, and it was all for that insurance payout. It was utterly ridiculous. I burst into tears, falling backward onto the cold floor. Tears streamed from the corners of my eyes into my hair. My stomach cramped in spasms. I suddenly turned over, crawling on the floor, dry, heaving. I met Ethan a month ago. Kira's voice rang out. My family has served as underworld messengers for generations. With one glance, I saw you clinging to him. Clearly a wronged ghost who died unjustly. But you are utterly useless, deaf and blind, clinging on for so long, yet still failing to realize the truth, only maintaining your soul's existence through your attachment to Ethan. I had no choice but to use a low tactic, actively seducing Ethan into marrying me, thereby drawing your soul. Here, temporarily placing it in this mirror to nourish it, reluctantly preserving you. I went through all this trouble so you could awaken yourself and hurry to reincarnate. And here you are, almost making all my efforts futile. See, I've lived for so long and never seen anyone so brain damaged by love. What is there about that kind of man that's worth loving? Loving to the point of not even knowing how you were murdered. But it's truly terrifying. She clicked her tongue, shook her head, and cast a disgusted glance downstairs. Oh, all right. Have you had enough now? Stop dawdling. I'll call the underworld messengers to take you. The commotion downstairs had already changed. Ethan was aroused right there, not even having time to take her to the bedroom. Stella's undisguised moans echoed throughout the spacious living room, piercing and sickening. I acted as if I didn't hear it, clinging to the edge of the wash basin, slowly standing up and raising my tear-streaked face to the mirror. Kara, can you help me one more time? Help you? Well, tell me how. I took a deep breath, clenching my fists. Can I borrow your body for a... There's something I absolutely must do. Kira frowned, glancing me up and down, her tone filled with annoyance. Oh, so you still remember? This is me body, do you? Then please, take care of it. Use this body carefully, won't you? I looked down at my hands. After doing so much housework these past 2 days, Kira's originally delicate and elegant hands had become much rougher, looking no different from my own hands. I looked up at Kira blankly, suddenly remembering something else. What about in my body then? Kira rolled her eyes. There will be a heavy rain this afternoon. Your body will be washed up. but it's already completely decomposed and headless. Identifying it will be very difficult. Don't even dream about re-entering your corpse. Get that idea out of your head. The commotion downstairs hadn't stopped, and my eyes burned red with hatred. I pleaded with Kira. I can't accept this. I must make them pay. Can you... Hey. Hold on. Kira quickly raised her hand to stop me from speaking further. We cannot interfere with matters of human life and death. You can only use legal and procedural methods. You are using my body, and you are not allowed to let others know who you are, or you'll be forcibly separated again, just like earlier. She gestured with her chin towards the cardboard box on the floor. Don't you have the evidence right there? I had cameras installed in the living room previously, both audio and video recording. Feel free to use them. I'll give you 1 day to handle things. Once you're done, hurry up and go reincarnate for me. Don't mess up my plans. I nodded blankly, but I didn't know what to do next. Kira seemed to be at her wit's end with me. She leaned halfway out of the mirror and gently flicked my forehead. So stupid you might as well be dead. She pointed downstairs, a mischievous smile playing on her lips. Ethan's so busy and not home today. Go ahead and burst out now. I guarantee you'll scare him so badly he'll wet his pants on the spot. No. Thank you, I said, lowering my head in anguish and shaking it. It would be an ugly sight. No need. The heavy rain arrived as promised. Kira didn't bother with me anymore, letting me tidy the bathroom floor for a long time, until Stella's frantic shriek echoed from downstairs. Oh my God, Ethan! Look at the news. That Daisy girl has been discovered. Ethan, who seemed to be in the kitchen, rushed out to the living room. I stood up, pulled my phone from my pocket. I dialed a number I had never called in my life. The moment the other end picked up, I spoke in a low voice. Hello? I'd like to report a crime. The chaotic sounds downstairs continued unabated. Ethan's voice, though heavily trembling, was still quite coherent. He instructed Stella, then ran upstairs. There's a safe in the walk-in closet in the storage room. The password is your birthday. Quickly open it and see how much cash is there. Take it all, we'll hide for a while. Stella's voice trailed after him. What about you? Ethan's voice was already upstairs. I'm going to the study for a moment. There are still some things I need to deal with. My hand rested on the doorknob. The moment his footsteps approached the bedroom, I abruptly flung the door open. I took a step out, firmly blocking his path. I subtly tilted my head towards the cardboard box by the bathroom door. Is this what you want to deal with? In 10 years of marriage, this was the first time I'd heard Ethan's piercing scream. Ah! Damn it! His face immediately went ashen as he shrieked, backing up 2 or 3 steps, colliding with Stella, who had just run up. Both stumbled, clinging to each other to stay upright. Ethan's eyes were filled with extreme horror, while Stella looked like a terrified deer. They huddled, clutching each other, looking like a pair of quails whose nest had been overturned. I stared at them for a long time, yet felt no anger, only a touch of amusement. Ethan suddenly remembered something, his face turning even paler. Kira, have you been home this whole time? I nodded at him. Thanks to you two, I've had a front row seat to quite the dramatic love story. My gaze swept past the petrified Ethan to the person beside him. Stella, long time no see, huh? According to Kira, this house was chosen by Stella, who had been deliberately lured by Kira. They had never met before. Stella's expression was momentarily flustered, then suddenly turned irritable. We have things to do. What are you doing blocking our way? Get out of here now. Ethan snapped back to reality, charging fiercely towards me. Give me that box! Who gave you permission to intrude into my study, you despicable bastard? I kicked the cardboard box back into the bathroom. The moment he lunged at me, I immediately swung my arm. Smack! A resounding slap, filled with all my strength, landed forcefully on Ethan's ear. He didn't have time to react, taking the full blow, stumbling, almost falling, his head hitting the wall. You bitch! Do you have a death wish? I'll chop you to pieces, I swear! Stella cursed, lunging at me. My hand, still poised from slapping Ethan, swung up again. Whack! Oh! A sharp, echoing sound. Stella shrieked and fell to the ground. Ethan didn't bother to help her, instead charging forward, intent on tearing me apart and kicking open the bathroom door. In his mind, there was only one thought: to seize the box containing their criminal evidence to secure their escape. Unfortunately, it was too late. Police sirens wailed outside. I had been stalling with them for so long precisely to buy time. Stella's eyes instantly widened, her face contorted in extreme panic. The police are here, Ethan. The police are here. Ethan also realized, bursting out of the bathroom, intent on attacking me. You bitch! You dare to call the police! I was a step faster, turning and running downstairs. The door opened, and over a dozen police officers swarmed in like angry bees. Just a few minutes later, Ethan and Stella were apprehended, forced to the ground. I removed the surveillance device Kira had installed right in front of them and handed it, along with the box containing the blood-stained clothes, to the police. As they were being led out, Ethan's eyes looked as if he wanted to devour me whole. I turned to the two police officers behind me. Officers, may I say a word to him? The officers exchanged glances, then stepped back half a pace. I moved close to Ethan. I spoke into his ear, just loud enough for only us two to hear. That night, you apologized to me, not for cheating, but because that day you decided to kill me to get this house, didn't you? This was something only the two of us knew. Ethan's pupils contracted violently, his entire body trembling uncontrollably, his gaze at me filled with more terror than seeing a ghost in broad daylight. I smiled, slowly forming a subtle, mocking smirk characteristic of Kira. The scene before my eyes gradually darkened. I calmly closed my eyes. When my consciousness returned, I was in the mirror. All right. Leave the rest to me. Once I find your head, I'll give your body a proper burial. You can rest easy and go reincarnate now. I looked at her, smiling. As a brilliant white light flared, I saw a path leading straight upwards. Kira was already preparing to leave. She turned her back to me, waving her hand, utterly carefree. I guess she probably didn't hear me anymore, but I still said, "Thank you, Kira."